But first, I want to welcome Bill Press, host of The Bill Press Show, a nationally syndicated radio talk program. He's former co-host of MSNBC's Buchanan and Press and spent 6 years with CNN co-hosting Crossfire and The Spin Room. Writes a syndicated weekly column for Tribune Media Services and has authored several books, including Trainwreck, The End of the Conservative Revolution, and Not a Moment Too Soon. Thanks for joining us, Bill.
All right, Trainwreck.
I want to start talking about...
We see train wrecks every day around this town.
I want to start actually on the something that came up in the last couple of weeks in the Senate, the Patriot Act, which was passed with only one negative vote in 2001. Senator Feingold, the only one, had several provisions that were due to sunset this year by December. One of them dealing with roving wiretaps, another dealing with this ability of law enforcement to go in and request library files, medical files, business files, without evidence of wrongdoing and any evidence of being engaged in terrorist activity, and they've used it abusively and widely. One of the things that came up in this was because the bill that was being proposed was so watered down from what then Senator Obama said that he wanted and what President Obama during the campaign said he wanted, which was to restore the constitutional protections. Senator Durbin introduced some amendments, and one of the amendments to the bill that was being considered by Senator Durbin would have put in the need for the FBI to show that the investigation that they were requesting records for in fact involved terrorist activity or something involving a foreign power. I want to play a segment from the hearing, the markup hearing that took place, where Senator Amy Klobuchar says she's going to vote against the Durbin bill because she said that the bill that was on the floor, the Leahy bill, was already strong enough. Let's watch Senator Klobuchar and Senator Durbin go at it. Here it is.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I agree with you, Mr. Chairman, and Senator Sessions, and oppose the amendment. And I would just point to the actual language in here, which it is not like this is some pie-in-the-sky standard here. I mean, it specifically says that there have to be, for this letter to issue, reasonable grounds to believe that the information sought is relevant to an authorized national security investigation, provided that such an investigation of a United States person is not conducted solely on the basis of activities protected by the First Amendment to the Constitution and pertains to a foreign power or an agent of a foreign power, is relevant to the activities of a suspected agent of a foreign power who is subject of such authorized investigation, or pertains to an individual in contact with or known to a suspected agent of a foreign power. So for anyone listening to this, it is not like there is no standard. There is a standard in place here.
That's the standard. It's in the bill now. That's the standard of my amendment. It's not in the bill now.
Okay, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, can I have a moment?
Senator Durbin, of course, your amendment.
I'd like to make that point to Senator.
I want to make it very clear. I'm not going to cut off anybody who wants, obviously. But when we're ready to vote,
thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's rare we get a chance to talk about issues of this gravity, and I think we ought to take a couple moments to do it. And I would say to Senator Klobuchar, he just read my amendment. And I think it's critically important that you understand.
Well, let's take a look at that. Here's the story. She praised his amendment. Senator Sessions, whose voice you hear in the background, saying that's the language in the bill, and she nods, yes, it is. It turns out that wasn't the bill. That was Durbin's bill, which she had just praised. She voted against Durbin after she'd praised him and voted for the Leahy bill, which Durbin's bill would have amended and corrected. Is this how they make laws up there?
Yes, sadly. But you know what? I find this thing so disturbing, Jim. First of all, let's go back. The Patriot Act was a mistake in the first place. Should never have been approved in the first place. Was unnecessary in the first place. John Ashcroft took that up to the Senate 2 days after 9/11, a 300-and-some page bill, and put it on there and said, if you're not for this, you're for Osama bin Laden. And I think a very scared and a very cowardly Senate at the time, except for Russ Feingold, voted for it. But you could almost understand it then in the wake of 9/11, right? I would have voted against it, I hope, but they were scared of their shadow and they were afraid to look weak on terrorism. Yeah, but that was 8 years ago. I mean, there's no excuse for it today. It was renewed once, renewed again, And here's what really surprises me. I mean, I know Pat Leahy, the chairman, and I know Amy Klobuchar. If there were two Democrats on the Hill that I would think I could trust to join Russ Feingold and Dick Durbin in either not renewing the Patriot Act or certainly not weakening it or making the act stronger, weakening the protections, it would be Klobuchar and Leahy. They must have been operating on direct orders from the White House.
How does she vote on something that she obviously hasn't read? Because when she reads Durbin's bill, she says, this is good. I like this. I can support this. It turns out that that's not the bill. And Sessions, who is a big advocate for the Leahy bill, thought that what Klobuchar read was in it, and it's not. Do they vote on things they don't know anything about?
Yes, absolutely. They do it every day. They don't read the bills. They don't read their amendments. They get their instructions from their party leaders, and they get their talking points, and they get their speeches written for them. And that's the way, it's the sausage factory that is so ugly. And that's why when, like with this healthcare debate, the more people saw them fighting back and forth on healthcare, the more Obama's poll numbers went down because it's pretty ugly. But this is irresponsible. Something as important as our constitutional protections, and they don't know what they're voting on, and they're voting Democrats voting to gut them. Well, outrageous.
That's the way laws are made.
Yeah.
And those are the people making them.
Especially for Amy Klobuchar. Yeah. She's smarter than that.
Well, she didn't. It wasn't her finest hour.
No. But I'll tell you one thing. Good for Dick Durbin.
Yeah.
And there's nobody closer to President Obama in the Senate than Dick Durbin. And for Durbin to carry that language, because I'm sure he was bucking the White House on that, showed a lot of guts.
Here's the point. Well, let's shift gears. I want to go to the Nobel Prize. President Obama won the Nobel Prize, and